just so we've got this. All right, so today we're going to hit a few of these details and try to work through the next couple of sections. First, I'm going to show you about relinking media. This is something that that confuses people when they're brand new to video editing. Sometimes they open up Premiere or they open up a similar piece of software and it says, hey, by the way, all those video files and audio files you've been using, they're gone. And it kind of, it's like, oh, what happened? And so then you have to relink it, tell it where those files went. So we're going to look at some more tools. We're going to look at how to add and adjust and manipulate additional things like logos and graphics and stuff on top of our image, and then adjust clips that are at different sizes down into our sequence so that they fit, and then maybe look at some keyframes and transitions as well. And then you'll continue to work through it. And how are the quizzes going for everybody? Is that working okay? Everybody getting the homeworks uploaded, just screenshots along the way? All right, be sure to let me know if you run into problems. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here in the meantime, and let's go ahead and dive in. So first, I want to point this out. So when we look at this project, and I'm going to click the little up arrow here to move up a level until we get to the top level with all of our folders. So every one of these things, right, this whole project is stuck inside this .proj file. So Premiere Pro project file. So when we look back on our desktop or on our hard drive where we were saving it, there it is. You can see that 1450 Premiere Pro project file. Now, how big is that file? Since I've already talked to Oriana, let's jump to Emma. Emma, how big is that file right there?
100 KB.
100 kilobytes. So that's really, really tiny. Now, if we come and we look at something like those capture scratch, the scratch folder with all the footage that we have to work on, each of these files is how big? How about this one, Kaylee? This one is, just this one video file is 5.1.
5.1 megabytes.
Megabytes or million bytes. So this tiny little thing's only 100 kilobytes. This one is 5.1 million bytes. And that's just one of many files in the project. So what happens is if you were to email yourself this file, all of the work, the tracks that are created, where those clips live on the timeline and stuff, all of the information about this project lives in the Premiere Pro project file. But all of the video clips obviously do not, because each of those video clips is 50 times the size or more of this one tiny little file. So what happens if I go to File, close the project, close everything out, and then I come and let's say I email myself this file because it was last modified today at 1:44. It's got all my work. But let's say I try to open it now, but I have changed the name or moved this folder to where now when it opens it up, it's going to say, well, gosh, I was looking for a bunch of footage in a folder right next to me called Capture Scratch in a folder called Drone Footage. It's not going to see that folder there anymore because the name has changed. So if I open this up, it's going to start to open and say, hey, by the way, all that stuff is missing. How many of you have experienced this already? Has anyone had this yet? Okay, if you're moving all your stuff around on one hard drive together, you won't run into this. But if you tried to email yourself the file, for example, back to a different computer, and you open it up, if you didn't have the footage sitting in a folder right where it was with the exact same name, you're going to get this missing media or how to relink the media. So what do you got to do then? Well, you can either come down and say offline. If you say offline or offline all, it's going to say, well, I know that there was all of these video clips in here at one point, but I don't know where they are. So it just gives you in every possible language, media offline, big and scary. And it's like, this is nuts. So what we want to do instead is, don't save. I want to reopen that project. And when it says it's all missing, I need to go and locate it. So there's a couple ways to do this, and some of you guys you're gonna have to reference this in the future, almost certainly. So I'm gonna hit locate, and it says, well, okay, last time I remember it, it was on volumes in the Samsung T5 hard drive / in a folder called 1450 Adam Nathan Project 2 / in a folder called O1 Capture Scratch / in a folder called Drone Footage 720p / looking for that file. So it's telling me exactly where it thinks the file was. Now I could change that. In fact, right now I'm just going to navigate to it and say, oh, okay, well, let's go to the Samsung. Let's go to the Project 2. Let's go to Capture Scratch. I see, I changed the name. But even if I didn't, you could re-download these files on that other computer because I gave you all of these in the original download, didn't I? So with that, you could simply toggle this open and say, there's my Belmont Drone 1 720p. So by selecting that and saying open, because I have this option that said, go ahead and relink anything else in that same file, then we don't have to go through and relink every single one. It just looks in that new folder and sees if it can find it all. And you can see that it's now gone ahead and found all that information. Does that make sense? So if all of that was missing, or if you just emailed this file to another place and it didn't have these files, you're not going to have them. You would have to physically go back to the website, come to the project 2 files, download them, right? And you'd come in here and you'd re-download that drone footage folder, and you'd want to put it back in that same place. Is there any questions about this? Because you will absolutely have it happen to you. If you try to move back and forth between a couple of different projects, that will happen. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to come over here and just get rid of that X in the name, and let's reopen this project. There we go. So it's found everything and we're good to go. All right, let me jump back over here. What questions do you have about relinking media? Because you absolutely will run into that. It's a very common thing when we're moving big files between different computers. No good or no questions? All right, so let's pop in here and take this to the next level. Let's see, do you guys have my audio? Let me share sound here. Let me know if you've got audio from Premiere.
Welcome to Rock the Vote.
All right. So step 1, we've relinked our media, but I want to look at a couple of these other tools that we have and when we might use them. So if I hit play,
welcome to,
we've cut right on the action. It started right as we're swooping past this thing, and we've added a few of these Rock the Vote logos and things like that.
to Rock the Vote at Belmont University, where Nashville
Boom.
Colleges.
We've made all of our edits on a downbeat. Right? When we zoom in and we see this nice kick drum downbeat, we really tried to make sure that all of those edits were right on a consistent downbeat so that it sounds, the action happens with the music.
Where Nashville colleges are uniting to celebrate democracy. With performers from...
Now, let's say, for example, that you had this maybe not quite, let's see, I'm going to move this over here and see if we can. Let's say you had it not quite on the beat, like this. So when we hit play,
with performers from Tennessee.
Do you notice that it's just kind of not quite on the beat? Everything doesn't feel quite as good. The action's not happening.
With performers from Tennessee.
Feels a little late. So in this case, we could come in and use our trim tool and trim this back, and then come to the next one and trim that back, but that's twice as many steps as we need. Instead, what we'd want to do is come over here and switch to the rolling edit tool. Go ahead and everybody switch to the rolling edit tool. And the rolling edit tool simply lets you move that whole edit all at once. So you notice it's got double arrows pointing to the left. So it's going to move whatever's on the left side to the left, and double arrows on the right. So you can click and you can drag, but it will only let you go as far as the media goes. So for example, right here, that's as far, this one doesn't have any more to the left. So that's why it's stopping me from going any farther to the left. And if I pull to the right, well, apparently this Belmont Drone 720p had plenty of footage left to the right. Okay, so, but in this case, I just want to use that rolling edit, drag it right back here, maybe zoom in a little bit and make sure I'm putting it right on that kick drum and I can see it happening right on the beat. So the rolling edit tool lets us do that in all one click and drag.
Great democracy. With performers.
Beautiful. So I want you to go ahead and see if you've got any of those clips that are not dead on a beat. Switch to that rolling edit tool, zoom in close enough that you can identify the beat, and then you simply grab that rolling edit and put them right on the beat. Take 30 seconds and roll one of your clips around. Even if you've already got them all dead on the beat, practice using that rolling tool just so you can see, and then you could always undo. Looking around. Got this? Oh, Becca's here.
Professor Adam.
Yes, sir.
I'm not seeing the rolling edit tool. I'm trying to right click on the ripple edit tool.
So you don't right click, you simply click and hold down on it and you'll see the ripple, rolling, and rate stretch.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of like Photoshop, so you just got to click and hold down a little bit.
Okay.
Once everybody's had a second to try the rolling edit, throw me a thumbs up and let's do the next thing. Rolling edit working okay? Okay, let's look at one more. And actually, you know what? We'll get to this another one here. Well, you should just see what it looks like. So in looking at this and saying,
With performers from Tennessee State University, spoken word artist Summer
how about
Jade.
this one?
From Middle Tennessee State
So in this case, in looking at this one,
University, spoken word artist Summer Jade. From Middle Tennessee.
let's say that I feel like this is starting a little too far back. I mean, it's a long clip. And so this long clip, it's like slowly moving closer and closer to this. So let's say I wanted it to start right here, where we're already at least a little bit closer to this school. So how would I do that? Well, again, if I was going about it the slow way, I might come over here and take the trim tool and trim this over, grab the whole thing, pull it back, and then grab this edge and trim it out, right? So that could work, but you see just how many steps that is to try to simply move the start point from here over to the beginning. Does everybody follow what I'm saying there? Okay, so instead we can simply come over to this slip or slide tool. So the slip and slide tool allow us to make those changes, again, all in one click. So if I have the slip tool selected, watch this. Let's say I want to get it to where we're already halfway through this circle, whereas if I come back over here, we're kind of at the beginning of this circle on the ground. Do you see that? So I want this part where we're kind of in the middle of the circle to be where my footage starts. No problem. With my slip tool selected, I can hover right over that point, click, and now when I drag, you notice it's letting me pull this back. And what you're seeing up here is where the clip is going to start. And over here, that's where the clip is going to end. So I can literally click and drag over here until I see it starting in the middle of that lawn circle. And I just move the whole endpoint without having to sit there and fiddle with the ins and the outs. Boom.
With performers from Tennessee State University.
Feels a little better because it's nice and close.
Summer Jade.
Right? So use that slip tool and see if you've got any shots that are kind of starting maybe a little too far back, or you just want them to start at a different point. Like this one maybe. This one's not bad, but maybe I want that one to start a little bit closer. I'm going to click and use the slip tool and just try to get me closer. I like it. Now we're actually closer to this Vanderbilt sign.
From Vanderbilt University,
Beautiful.
a cappella group, the Melodors, and student performer from Belmont University, Indy.
All right, so try that. Try that slip tool, as that will make your life easier when you're trying to simply move your timing around. A good editor is going to cut on the action. Once you've had a minute to try out that slip tool, throw me a thumbs up and we'll move ahead. Throw my little timer up here. A lot of times when I'm teaching these classes online, since I want to give you guys some time to work on things, I'll just throw a little timer up here on the screen so you can see. And that way, if you need more time, you can let me know, but you know how much time has passed.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, Ashley.
So one of my videos on here, it has like a white triangle in the top.
You're going to have to just show me. Never try to explain. It's not even worth it. You can always take a picture with your phone or share a screen so fast. I've been teaching this stuff long enough that everybody's like, there's a shape in this. It's like a bear eating a lion. And it's like, I'm trying to visualize what you're saying. But a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Oh wait, it says that I don't have access.
To share your screen?
Yeah.
No, it seemed to be. It was letting Oriana. Should be letting everybody else. What's it say?
I just had to like open my settings. It's doing that now.
Okay. You've just never shared your screen before?
I have, but I guess since I updated it, I haven't.
That's
so.
probably what it is. Yeah, sometimes like OS updates reset permissions for stuff like that.
All right, I'll try and figure it out then.
Okay, or snap a picture of it with your phone or a screenshot and send it to me. I can almost probably instantly figure it out at that point. All right, so popping back over here, we've done our slip, our slide. Actually, the slide tool is fairly straightforward. Once you've tried the slip tool, kick over to the slide tool just so you can see what it does. The slide tool simply lets you come in and move the whole thing within the clip. So it'll move both the in points and the out points. You got to find one like this MTSU clip. You see, it lets you just move the whole thing around, and it moves the edges of the clips before and after as well. So if I just decided I wanted this whole thing to start a little bit later, I could just trim it just like that and use that slide tool, and it moves the whole thing along with the in points and out points. So it's a good tool to know that you've got. You may not use it all the time, but go ahead and just adjust with the slide tool just to see. And then let's move ahead. All right. So we have added our text, or not our text layers, but we started to add our graphics. Did everybody get all of the graphics in for every artist? How many of you got all the graphics in? Okay, some, but not all. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute here to get all those in. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and look at one other thing that you can do while we're at it. One of the things I notice is when you look at this, let's talk to Isabella. Isabella. So when I look at all of this footage of different universities, if you go to Belmont, you might recognize that this tower is a Belmont thing. But one of the challenges with this video is, unless you know all these universities, what they look like from the air or the kind of the key icons, it's not clear which university you're seeing at any given time. It's just a bunch of buildings, right? So, but I notice that one university kind of made that a little bit easier on us, MTSU. What did they do different in their footage, all of their footage?
They're just tagged like MTSU. Like
Right there in the corner, exactly. They've got this little logo down there in the corner. So what I had to go ahead and do is find transparent logos for all the other universities, and we want to go in and we want to add that to all the other university footage as well. So let's go ahead and come over here into our graphic sources, and I'm going to find the logos, and then I've got Belmont here. I'm going to take this Belmont logo and double click it, and it is a transparent logo. The file type, going back to our Photoshop days, is what? Grace, what kind of file is this? You see that?
Sorry, I was muted. A PNG file?
PNG file. And PNG files is one of those few files that actually can contain transparency within it. So that's why we're using this one. So I'm going to simply grab it. And if I wanted to throw it here on one of these layers, then right now, what would happen if I just did an overwrite edit? If I put it right here at the beginning of the Belmont footage and I did an overwrite edit with the period key, what would happen to my Rock the Vote logo? Annalee?
would it get moved?
Nope, an overwrite is just going to overwrite. If we had done a insert with the comma key, then it would insert it and it shuffles everything else over to the right, which is obviously not what we want. So, but we also don't want it to overwrite. So here's what I like to do. Something like this logo that I really want to be, present, here on the main one. I might want to put these graphics as a little bit higher layer, because I'm going to need this transparent logo to be over the entire time that Belmont is there. So I could do a couple things. What I'd like to do, though, I'm going to grab all of my images and I'm going to put the logos on video layer 2. So how would I quickly move all of these images up one level so that I can put the logos underneath all this? Anybody? I could just click and drag, obviously. That's one solution. But the danger when you're just clicking and dragging is that you click and drag and oops, you drag it slightly off and now it's at a different place. Anyone tell me the shortcut to quickly just move selected clips up or down between tracks? Oops, gotta be careful about that one. Anybody? No? It's an option up and down arrow. So option up arrow will move all of those selected clips up or down a track. And now I can come in and start to lay my logos in and make sure that you've got video layer 1 targeted here, because now I can simply, since I've got Belmont up here, I can hit the period key and it will do an overwrite. And I'm simply going to drag that until the Belmont footage is done. And make sure that it's snapped. My snapping is turned on. I've got it all the way right there. Hit my down arrow until I get to this next point. And what footage needs, or what logo needs to go in here? Tennessee State. So I'm going to double click, load that up in there. And now it's selected. I'll hit the period key and that's going to drop it right into that same layer. I'll just trim that until it's at that same point with the TSU logo. Hit the down arrow a couple times so it moves down to that next one. and load up. Actually, I don't need the MTSU logo because it's already got one. So I'll hit the down arrow a couple more times until I'm at Fisk. Let's go add the Fisk logo. Double click to load it up here. Period drops it down, and then I can simply trim it out. Down arrow a couple times, grab Vanderbilt, load it up, period, drops it down, and then maybe just trim it back. Oh, there's another logo shot, or let's see, we've got several Belmont shots here at the end. So I want to come in here, reload my Belmont logo, period, we'll drop it down into video layer 1 and just stretch that out. So go ahead and take a second and do that. If you have not got your other images in for where your artists go ahead and finish those. I'm going to give you let's just do 2 minutes and to get the rest of those logos in. Raise a hand if you need help, and I will share your screen or get you taken care of.
I screenshotted, I sent you in the chat a screenshot of my.
Sweet. Chat. Got it open. It's downloading. Boy, that's a long time to download a 1 megabyte file. White triangle in the top right corner of my Fisk drone video. I'm so excited to see this. Your Fisk University logo. Not seeing what you're talking about. Oh,
The blue one, yeah.
you know what that means? I can't zoom in on it, but it looks like what that's showing you is, here, let me come over to mine. I think that's just showing me that either it's at the end of that clip. Let me switch over to something like this. Yes, that white arrow is showing you that this is the edge of that clip. In other words, there's no more to drag to the left. Whereas you see that it's missing from this one, and that's because it's not the edge of that clip. Like I could drag that farther, but notice when let me see if I can drag it until all the way. It runs out of space. Well, apparently that was a really long shot. No, okay. So, but if I dragged that one all the way out until it ended, that you would see that little arrow there too.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great question. Okay.
I have
All right. Yeah, Emma.
question. Can I share my screen real quick?
Of course.
Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not letting me click.
To target the track?
Yeah, to target the track.
Interesting. Let's see. So you've got that one in place. Let's hit Shift minus to shrink all the tracks down a little ways. Okay, and then in this case, let's see. So you're trying to target that. Go ahead and try to target layer 3. Click on that left side. Yep, but up on layer 3. Nope, to the left of that. There you go. This is the source. And it won't let you click on there. Interesting. I'm trying to think of why that might be the case. You don't have the track locked. I'm not seeing anything else. If you drag a clip out, obviously you were able to put some of these logos in. Well, actually not some. You know what I would do in those situations? It's always something like this, I would say, because I've not run across that particular thing. I would say to Google, Premiere won't select source. Premiere can't turn on source patching on tracks. When I click on solved by opening anything in the source monitor. That's why. Okay, so in other words, you have to come down. I notice in your source monitor, there's no clip up there. So go over and open up your graphic sources and find that first logo for Belmont. And double click. And now you see your source patching pops up over on the left-hand side.
There we go. Thank you.
There you go. Yep, just has to have something uploaded in the source. Great. All right. So how's everybody else doing? We okay? Ready to move on? Sweet. Okay, so let's jump ahead here. Now we need to fix these logos because I don't know if you notice, it's subtle, but can you see my screen? The Belmont logo is just a hair too big. Just a hair in that it's taken up the entire screen.
We can't see the screen. We
you can't see my screen. Oh, thank you. Well, here we go. Try this. Share and boom. Yeah, so you notice if you look real carefully, the Belmont logo is just a little too big. So we need to fix it. So I'm simply going to double click on this logo down in the timeline to load it up into my effects or into my source panel. So once we've double clicked it, we should also have our effect controls, which depending on how many things you have open up here, you should either see them, or if you open up too many, there'll be like a little double set of arrows here, or you can simply under Window, Effects Controls, see that the shortcut is Shift 5. So a lot of times I'm right here, and if I need to go to my effects, I just Shift 5 and it takes me straight there. And I think we looked at using position and motion and selecting it to be able to adjust the size, right? Did we look at that last time for the other graphics? Yes or no? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to simply select the word motion, which over here should make it, you know, selectable, so I can click on the text. Remember, we don't want to click this little guy. This is what we call the anchor. So I actually want to click on the graphic itself, but it's way too big for me to actually see. So I want to either come down here to fit my zoom level and change this down to something smaller, so I could click on the handles and bring it down. But then I'll go back to fit. Or I could simply come to scale, because the scale is determining how big it is. And when you hover over it, you'll see this little double arrow, and you can click and you can drag it left and right. So I'm going to drag it down until it's something like maybe about 6%. Looks like about the same size as the MTSU one. In fact, I'm going to use that as my template. I'm just going to jump over to the MTSU clip and make sure that I'm making this Belmont logo about the same size and in the same location. And that's looking pretty good. I might come in here and make it just a hair smaller. But here's my secret. Once I've done that, if I pop over here to Tennessee State, I see this is the same size. Everybody go ahead and get at least one logo. Select it, open up the effects controls, and you can come to scale if you want and just drag that down until it shrinks down, and then click and drag it until it's in the right place. Compare it to that MTSU one. Then I'm going to show you a few tricks for doing this faster. Take 1 minute. Nope, not 21 minutes. Get that one in, and then let me show you some faster ways to deal with this. Throw me a thumbs up when you've got that logo resized and adjusted, because if everybody gets it done, we'll move ahead. Got about half the class. Anyone struggling? Good. Okay. Then jump back here.
What was the shortcut?
What?
Shift 5 was the shortcut.
Shift 5. Yep. So if I like take this Tennessee State one, for example, if I select it, you'll notice it automatically, since I already had effect controls open here, it automatically switches to where we're editing the TSU logo. Okay. So I could immediately just do the same thing. Click on scale, grab this scale and just drag it down, and then pop it over here in the corner and resize it a little bit more. And again, I'm going to compare it to Middle Tennessee State. That looks pretty good. Do the same thing for Fisk. Select the logo, make sure it's got the Fisk logo up here, scale it down, select one of these so I can actually adjust it, put it down here in about the same corner, same size, compare it to the MTSU, and go to the next one. Over to Vanderbilt. Same thing. Select, scale, drag it down, click on one of the words so I get the little handles, and Vanderbilt University. Looks a little funny, but that's better. How are we doing so far? Everybody getting that done? Let me put a minute on the board. Everybody go through and add all your logos. Throw me a thumbs up, digital thumbs up, so it'll stick around for a minute when you're done, and we'll move ahead. Or a physical thumbs up, I guess. That's fine.
So do we want the logos to run all the way through even when like the person pops up too? Even if
That's a
you can't
great
see the
question.
logo?
Yeah, so at this point, I'm going to say yes, because I want them to be physically, visible anytime basically that university is on the screen.
Okay, so even if it covers up, if they like I have the person over there on the left side of the screen and it covers up part of the logo, you still want it there?
So I probably would not want to do that. I would either move my move that thing, or this one is going to be over the top of the logo. So for example, if I selected this one and selected position, like if I ended up putting it over the top of my visual, like that's not necessarily a bad thing, but kind of the whole point is it's like all about these universities coming together. So we probably do want to keep their logo present.
Okay.
Yep. Just as a political thing, because you've not yet had to deal with this, but if you work with any sort of businesses, like there's always somebody that can get super sensitive and be like, why did MTSU get to have their logo in place the whole time, but our logo was not visible. So if you have not yet had to deal with that, you will. All right, other questions on this? Okay, so we're getting that put in place. The one thing we've got here at the end is we've still got this giant Belmont logo. So let me show you this trick that's really handy, because let's say we just want to use this exact same settings. We've already got it. We've dialed it in here, and I don't want it to be inconsistent from here over to here. So I could do, have we already done copy and paste attributes in Premiere? We haven't? Okay, so let's do that. So I'm simply going to come over to the one that's already got the motion, position, and scale that I want. And I'm going to select it and I'm going to copy. What's the shortcut for copy, Anna Lee?
Command C.
Command C. And then I'm going to come over to this other one here at the end. And I want to paste attributes. I don't want to paste the clip itself. I just want to paste the stuff about it. Its motion, its position, its scale attributes. So we can do that either under the edit menu, paste attributes is Option Command V, or you can also simply right click on the clip and you'll see paste attributes right up here at the top. And when I choose paste attributes, it says, oh, well, what do you want? The volume, plugins, the motion, and I can say, yeah, just paste the motion attributes. All these position scale things. So as soon as I hit OK, bonk, it's going to paste those attributes, the size, location, and scale over onto this one. Saves us time, makes it work. Go ahead and hit save. And we're ready to move ahead.
Can you do that one more time?
Yeah. So I'm going to undo this. I have this one that's basically already got the scale and location that I want, right? Position has been adjusted. My scale has been adjusted. And this was the exact same logo. So I simply select this one and copy. So that copies the whole clip. And I could just paste the whole clip over here. But maybe in this case, I just want to paste the size and location. So I can either right click and choose paste attributes, or under the edit menu, we've got the same thing, or the shortcut for paste attributes is Option Command V. Regular paste is Command V, paste attributes is Option Command V, and then I say, yes, I only want to paste the motion attributes. So it's everything under motion here. And when you say scale attribute times, which is almost always the right choice, that means, okay, well, just because this was a 5-second clip, I don't want it to just do that for the first 5 seconds. Go ahead and scale those out to the whole length of the clip. So when you hit OK, boom, it applied those attributes, same attributes to this other version of the clip. Got it? Notice I could do this like if I accidentally had selected the Belmont drone shot right here and I pasted the attributes to that, right click, paste attributes, motion, watch what it does to this video clip. Bink! Now it's this tiny little thing down in the corner. Does that make sense what paste attributes does? Just pasting those same scaling and motion attributes to it. So that's not what I want. I'll hit Command Z to undo. Wonderful. All right, so we have moved our tracks around. We have adjusted some of our source and track patching. So let's see. Let's go in now and add maybe just a little bit more. I feel like these clips are, the video is fine, but there's a few of these shots that kind of run on long. So I've got a Belmont drone shot. Let's watch it.
Welcome to Rock the Vote at Belmont University. Welcome to Rock the Vote.
So right there when she says rock the vote, I feel like she finishes saying rock the vote before this even pops up. So I feel like this should pop in right on the word rock. So
welcome to
rock. And I can even see it on her words right here. And so you can see that with the left arrow, if I move back to the beginning of this rock the vote, this clip isn't even starting yet. So I want to go ahead and just trim that back and make sure my edits are happening on action.
Welcome to Rock the Vote at Belmont University, where Nashville colleges are uniting to celebrate democracy. With performers from
All right, so we've now got all of these pieces in place.
From Fisk University, R&B singer-songwriter Lauren McClinton.
And it looks like I need to add a few more of those elements, but we need to actually add at least one more element here before we go in and add some titles for these. And that is...
Rock the Vote.
Actually, let's go ahead and add our titles. Yeah, we're going to add our titles and then we'll fix these other bits. So I'm going to shift minus so that my tracks are down a little bit, and then command plus just to make my video clips just a little bit taller. I don't really need all this audio space. I'm not doing too much with it. Bring those down so I have a little bit more space for my video clips. All right. So in playing through this,
Belmont University, where Nashville colleges are uniting to celebrate democracy.
We want to build an interesting shot there, but let's go ahead and add some graphics along with the text of what's happening.
Summer Jade.
So we've got
Tennessee State University, spoken word artist, Summer Jade.
So I want to go ahead and put some text here for her. So I'm going to come over to the graphics workspace. So if you just go ahead and click on graphics workspace here at the top, it's going to load up our essential graphics panel over on the right-hand side. Go ahead and get that fired up. Everybody there, throw me a thumbs up. All right, the Essential Graphics panel has a couple of main things. You've got the Browse, which will let you look through graphic templates. You see you can scroll down through a whole bunch of these. You've got lower thirds, you've got film titles, you've got all kinds of things that you could use. You've got Adobe Stock, which is going to have options for free and for premium. And that's going to give you different graphic assets that you can add to your visuals. For now, I'm just going to stick with my templates, and I'm going to look for something. Let's see what this one might look like. When you hover your mouse over things, you should see, it might take a second to load up, but you're going to see a little bit of the movement that happens. Let's see if I can find something I want. Angled image caption. Interesting. Just kind of scrolling. We got a live. How about this one? Angled title, basic default title. Let me try angled title. So I'm going to grab this and simply drag it and drop it over onto the a new track. And I want it to be on screen the whole time that hers is. So I'm just going to simply trim that to where it fits at the same time as hers. Go ahead and drag at least one of those titles over here. And then let's look at how we can adjust it. How are we doing so far? I want to give you guys a little bit of time to work on this here in just a second. But for now, I'm going to double click on this to load it into the Essential Graphics panel. So once you've got it dropped into place and trimmed to size, double click on it and it'll open it up over here in the Essential Graphics panel. Throw me a thumbs up when you've got it loaded up. You guys can always go in and replace these later, so don't spend a bunch of time trying to find the perfect graphic right now, or the perfect title is what we call a title graphic. All right, so with this, if I were to hit play, I can see
spoken word artist Summer Jade from Middle Tennessee.
Okay, not bad.
Artist Summer Jade.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. I can see a few options I can adjust here. Over here, I've got this intro duration, so it's about 1 second long, and then the outro duration is 12 frames long, or about half a second.
Artist Summer Jade.
So you see it takes 1 whole second to kind of transition in there. If I wanted that to be faster, for example, I could make this like 15 frames. If this is 30 frames a second, that's going to be half of a second. You'll see it comes in faster
Artist
now.
Summer Jade.
I think that's actually a little bit better. I like it being just a little bit faster and not just shimmering over the entire set of words. But I do want to change the words. So let's go ahead and edit the text here by coming up and changing your title here. I'm going to double click on this and go ahead and rename it Summer Jade.
Artist Summer Jade.
Okay, so go ahead and rename the title that you've just created. Now let's make a few adjustments to it. Throw me a thumbs up when you've got one in place, and let's move ahead. Got a few thumbs up. Okay, all right, so you can see underneath all of these instructions what you can do with it. So for example, if you want it to be in the exact vertical center, you can click on this and notice what happened. Currently, I had placed it and it was a little bit above center, but clicking this puts it directly in the vertical center. Or I could click this and it moves it over to the horizontal center. I could click this and it's going to link it to the bottom of the screen. So these are simple alignment guides that let you do that. Or of course, you can click on any of these numbers with these double arrows and move it around. But these are really quick and easy ways to be able to put it specifically on a part of the screen that you want. Now, everybody in here needs to lay this out in a way that they want. So for example, I think I'm going to like personally,
Artist Summer Jade.
I think I'm going to prefer to have her. Let me select her photo, Shift 5 to jump up here. And I'm going to have her appear above this. I'm actually going to shrink her down so she fits just a little bit. And then I want Summer Jade to be, undo. And let's put you right. Edit. Right here. Now, it's clashing a little bit with this Tennessee State University, but I'm going to show you how to deal with that here in just a second. So you can go through and quickly start to add in your titles. If I want to keep this exact same title and use it over Shelter Cove, I'm going to come in and I'm going to simply hold down my Option key and click and drag on this graphic, and that's going to create a copy of it. Boy, isn't that handy. By option dragging, we can simply trim and copy this clip. Double click it, change this to Shelter Cove. And in fact, since we've already learned the whole copy and paste attributes, pause what you're doing and look. Since I'm kind of changing my mind on where I want the images, instead of having them on the side, I kind of want them at the top. So I've done that already to Summers, but I haven't done it here to Shelter Cove. So I could try selecting this, copy. I'm going to copy Summers, come to Shelter Cove, right click and choose Paste Attributes, Motion, and hit OK. It's pretty close, puts it in the right place, but it's maybe a little too big. That's all right, I can still select it, got my Shelter Cove, and maybe just adjust the scale down a little bit so it fits in there a little bit better. See how handy this whole, like, having the ability to copy and paste attributes can really help us quickly move through these things. So I want you to go through. I'm going to put a couple minutes on. Let me throw a couple minutes on the board and have you guys go ahead and get as many of those laid out as possible. And then I'm going to show you how to make the background less distracting. I'll put 2 minutes on and see how many you can get through. Raise hand if you need help.
Spoken word artist Summer
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you get the picture again to be centered? Because I like moved mine to the side and I can't figure out how to get that like specifically centered again.
So you've got the picture selected.
Yes.
In this case, I simply placed it there with my effect controls. I selected it and selected position and simply pulled it up and kind of arranged it to where it looked about centered to me.
Okay, there's not like a
right. It was only
I
the
thought there was
text.
like a button.
When we selected the text, this little graphical title, then if I double click on that and load it up here into the edit and select the text itself, so you can see that there's some effects on it. So some effect layers. And then when I selected the text itself, then you have these little alignment guides.
Okay.
And this one, for example, will let you do a vertical center, and that would make it centered vertically, undo, etc. But you have to actually select the text itself, and then you'll see all the options to adjust it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, take one more minute on that. Get one more thing done. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. For the Melodors, it just says Melodors on their picture. So is it like the Melodors or Melodors?
Good question. That's not going to matter to me which way you go, but I think that's a good question to ask.
Okay. Thank you.
The Melodors. All right, pop back here with me since you guys know how to add some of these elements right now. But let's look at a problem that has presented itself. Everybody with me? Got my screen? All right, when I hit play,
spoken word,
I've got this, nice little visual happening. I've got my little logo. I've got she pops up. And then at the same time,
Summer Jade,
the text pops in, but this text with its location, it's clashing with the logo. Plus, I've got this really like totally, visible background that's just kind of like distracting the eye. I want to go from having talked about Tennessee State to mentioning Summer Jade, and I want the eye to focus in. Think back to Photoshop. What did we do when we wanted to make the background less distracting and focus on the foreground? What did we do, Jamie?
Would you blur the background?
We would blur the background. Thank you, Jamie. So I'm going to zoom out here, and I want to add another layer. In fact, we're going to go back to our Photoshop roots. I'm going to take all of these top layers with the graphics and with the text. I'm going to select those and use that shortcut we just learned to move them up one more track. I'm going to hold the Option key down and hit the up arrow, and that's going to move all those things up one more track. Go ahead and do that. Throw me a thumbs up when you got it. Sweet. All right, now what I want to do is pull the old trick from Photoshop, which is come down here in my bin, my project bin. I'm going to come down to the new item, which is where we made our original sequence. But when you click on that, you can make a sequence, or you can make all these other things. Project shortcut, offline file, captions, etc. But the one that we use, just like in Photoshop, is an adjustment layer. This is a layer that basically lets us make changes to the things beneath it, but without actually affecting those things beneath it, so that we can change it as we like. So I'm going to take this adjustment layer, and when I click new, it automatically makes one with the settings of the sequence that's open. So you see it made one that's 1280 pixels wide by 720 tall and 24 frames a second. So I'm going to hit OK, and bam, I've got an adjustment layer in here.
Where did you hit new?
Down here at the lower right-hand corner, we've got this new item next to the trash can. Clicked on it and made an adjustment layer. Got it? All right, now I'm going to make sure my track, if I double click this adjustment layer, it loads it up here, and you notice it just looks like a black adjustment layer. There's nothing to it. But what I do want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I want to drop it in here and stretch it out over the entire project. So I'm just going to take it, and I could either hit the period key, which is going to drop it in, and then I could trim it out, or of course I could have set in and out points, any of the above. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning, hit the period key, which drops it in, and use my trimmer to trim it out for the length of the project. Go ahead and do the same. I'm actually going to name it blur before I pull it out there. Everybody with me still? All right. So here's what we want to do. Most of the time, this adjustment layer, we don't really need it. It's not doing anything per se, but what we can do is I want to I want to trim it to any place where it's going to be underneath the something else, where I want it to obscure the background. So, but I also want to add a blur effect to it so that it blurs anything underneath it, just like the adjustment layers in Photoshop. So to do that, we need to come over and find our video effects. So under the window menu, you're going to see effects, not effect controls. That's where you can control the effects up here in the edit window, but the effects themselves is Shift 7. So Shift 7 will open up our effects, usually down here in this project bin. And under the little search filter box, I can click in there and search for Gaussian blur, G-A-U, and you should see the Gaussian blur pop up underneath that list. Once you find it, let's go ahead and you can either double click it, which will typically add it to the effect or add it to whatever's in the source, or I could have clicked and dragged it over onto it, but double clicking it loaded it on since I had the adjustment layer already loaded in the source panel. Or you could simply click and drag and drop it over onto here. Then go to Effect Controls and make sure you have your blur or your new adjustment layer selected so that it shows up here. And you should see an effect down at the bottom now, Gaussian blur. Throw me a thumbs up when you can see that you've got your Gaussian blur there. Jordan's got it, Michael's got it, and Lee's got it. When you open up your adjustment layer, you should see, and I renamed my adjustment layer to blur, but you should see that you've got this Gaussian blur up here, or you can also just click and drag. You can actually drag multiples. You don't need multiples, so I'm going to simply select one of them and hit delete. Everybody got a Gaussian blur on their adjustment layer? All right, now look at all this takes. So with my blur selected, my effects controls, I'm going to come down to blurriness, and I could either click and drag, and you should see in your timeline all of the footage get blurry. I'm going to go ahead and blur it up. I think 41 actually looks pretty blurry. I can maybe try it a little less, maybe 30. Yeah, that's pretty good. But I'll let you do it to taste. If that worked for you, throw me a thumbs up. Sweet. One other thing here, you'll notice if you look at your footage around the sides, it actually, when it added that blur, you've actually kind of added this little dark edge around it as well. So you can turn on this repeat edge pixels, and for whatever reason, that will then eliminate that little dark edge around it. I think that's probably the right thing to do. So I'm going to turn on this repeat edge pixels so it eliminates all of those little dark edges around the edges. Ask a question if you've got one, but now we just need to go in and create our adjustments for this.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I added my adjustment layer and the blur, but it's still coming out as clear.
Okay, did you come in and actually adjust the blurriness? So what can happen is you might be adjusting two different things. So come over and double click on the one that's actually in your timeline to make sure that you're looking at that one. Because what you might have done is if you just double click on this one, when you basically think about it this way, when I double click on this, it pops this up here, but this was the original clip. As soon as I put a copy of it in here, they're treated like two separate clips. So if you added the blur to this one and you're adjusting it, you're just adjusting the original one, but that doesn't affect the copy you made in here.
Okay.
So you can always just double click on the one in the timeline and make sure you're adjusting that one.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
Great question. All right, so here we go. We only want this blur to appear when? Really, whenever we've got a graphic underneath it, right? So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to trim this to where it only pops up whenever the graphic pops up. Then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to use my cut tool. So I hit the C key and I'm going to cut that one. And I'm going to cut it underneath here, switch back to my V key and delete it. So I'm just going to go through and trim out any part where there's not a graphic that I'm trying to have.
Word artist, Summer Jade.
And now you notice it blurs out everything underneath it. It blurs out that video clip. It blurs out the logo that we added, and it draws the eye just like a shallow depth of field to our artist right here. How you doing so far? That work for you? Isn't it interesting to see things like adjustment layers and stuff that we started with in Photoshop and they come back over into this next part? It's pretty crazy. Looking around, throw a thumbs up if you need, if you're good. Otherwise, if you need help, raise a hand.
Okay, so my adjustment layer still isn't like.
Share your screen.
Yeah.
Always going to be fastest.
Let's see.
Okay.
Can you see it?
So let's see. So you've got the adjustment layer. So go ahead and Shift 5 to switch to your effect controls. Okay. And you've got like 5 Gaussian blurs on there. Go ahead and delete a couple of those. Down towards the bottom, we see Gaussian blurs. Yep. And just delete a couple of those. Now, just select the word Gaussian blur and hit the delete key.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Go ahead and blow away some of those. All the extras.
Okay.
We've added quite a few, it looks like.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Holy cow. Yeah.
I kept adding them because it wasn't working and I was thinking it wasn't adding them.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep deleting and then on the, just leave one on there and go ahead and bump its blurriness up. I would just click on one of the top ones and that way you don't have to keep moving up. Yeah, so leave that top one on, grab the ones below. Yep. And bump that blurriness up to like 30.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There you go. And now delete all the ones beneath it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You got it. All right. Okay. And let me jump back to mine. Share screen. Continue. All right, pop back to me. Next, we need to make these not quite so
to rock the vote at
aggressive. Right now, it's like as soon as this image pops up, bong, like everything goes dark. You guys got my screen again? Okay, so we simply need to add some transitions to these so that they appear a little more gracefully. So I'm going to go and look for my effects again. So under my effects, or Shift 7 is going to toggle this open. I've got my Gaussian blur still started, so I want to click this X to clear that out. And I'm just going to look for a simple video transition. We've got a lot of different ones on here. You can be creative with this. I'm just going to go with the old cross dissolve. And that one, you can see, has a little selection around it. I've got this little bright blue box around it because that is the current shortcut or the current default transition. So, and then I can simply come to my track, and the shortcut to add a transition is Command D under the edit window, I believe. I actually don't even remember where the thing is. Maybe clip. somewhere. Adding default transition is Command D. There it is. Apply video transition is Command D right here. So if I select this and hit Command D, you'll then see this cross dissolve pops up on each side. I'm going to do the same thing to the blur so that it doesn't just like suddenly blur, but it like cross dissolves into the blur, and let's see what happens.
Welcome to Rock the Vote at Belmont.
Ooh, we kind of went black. That's not ideal.
Rock.
Well, probably because it's cross dissolving. Let me undo that.
Rock the Vote at. To rock the vote at Belmont University.
It's actually not too bad.
To rock the vote at Belmont University.
Okay, so the cross dissolve is actually applying to even the blur underneath, so I don't actually need to add the blur to it. I can, by simply adding it right here. Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's pretty much immediately jumping into it. But the cross dissolve is not working on this adjustment layer. That's not ideal. But what if I just come over to these, grab this next one, Command D. Let's see how that looks.
Artist Summer Jade.
Nice. Actually looks kind of pretty. I'm gonna do the same thing with Shelter Cove.
Shelter Cove. From Fisk University.
Nice. All right. So you are moving through and making these edits. And we're getting a lot farther on this.
University. Shelter Cove. From Fisk University.
Nice.
R&B singer-songwriter.
All right. How are we doing so far? Who needs a few minutes to work on all these? Okay. Let me go ahead and put, how about if I put 5 minutes on the board? Is that too much? Okay, I'm going to put 5 minutes on the board, and that way I can also answer questions as you go. Throw this timer up. And then, Ashley, did you have a question?
No.
Nope. Okay. If you do have questions, raise a hand. My chair is squeaking like crazy.
Summer Jade. Spoken word artist Summer Jade.
When I added the cross dissolve to my picture, it like made it completely blurry the whole time.
Show me your screen.
Okay. Crap, it won't work again. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's possible if your cross dissolve is too long, you can simply hover over the edge and just trim it, just like a regular clip.
Oh, okay.
So if it was like all the way over, then it's just going to take a long time to fully appear. So you can always just hover over those edges, just like a trim tool, and adjust.
How do you get the cross dissolve to come on both sides of it instead of just one side?
I simply selected the clip. If you have the, so let's say, for example, let me remove, I'll just delete these. So you can, if you don't want them, you can simply click on them and hit the delete key. So if you just select one side and hit Command D, it will just apply it to the one side. If you select the whole clip by clicking on it and hit Command D, it assumes you want them on both sides.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Raise a hand if you need help. Everybody's doing great.
Rock the vote at Belmont.
Got about a minute left, and we'll hit one more useful little tool.
Welcome.
Don't hesitate to raise a hand if you need help. All right, pop back to my screen. How's that going? Everybody feeling okay? Are you able to get these things done? How many of you have learned something about working in video editing software and a variety of new tools? Great. Okay, back to my screen real quick. So you'll notice there is one challenge with adjustment layers, and that is if you add something like a transition to them, like this cross dissolve, that when you get to it, it actually drops to fully black first, and then it kind of fades back up. So that looks a little awkward because it's off and then back on. So that's not what we want, but we can kind of achieve it anyway. What I'm not liking is the fact that the footage goes from like nice and crisp and clear to bam, suddenly like you know, completely Gaussian blurred out. So instead, let's zoom in. I'm going to zoom in just a hair here. And let's notice that this line, I think we've pointed this out before, this line here is actually an opacity line, or currently it's set to opacity. We can actually use it for a variety of things, and you can identify what with the little effects. Does everybody see a tiny little box labeled effects in the corner of a clip? So if you right click on that, so if you're on a laptop like me, you use a 2-finger click or a control click. So if you hold the control key down and click on it, you're going to see all the things you can make that line be. So you can make it represent motion, opacity, time remapping, or adjust the Gaussian blur's blurriness over time. So right now you see that with this little circle that shows you that opacity is what this stands for right now. In other words, how clear or transparent is this clip? So right now it's at 100% opaque. In other words, you are going to see the effect of this clip. So, but if I want to adjust that, what I can do is I want to come in and add some control points here. So if I hold my command key down, you will see that your arrow turns in to have a little plus on it. So hold your command key down, and then you're going to notice a little plus, and you can click and add a couple of control points to the opacity of this clip. Everybody got that? Add a couple little points right there. And now I'm going to let go of all keys. I'm going to come to this first one. I'm going to click and simply drag it down. And notice, do you see the little numbers that are changing underneath my, my mouse? Where it says right now that the opacity is 47.91%, 41.66%. Can everybody see that and read that? So when I pull that all the way down, now the opacity is 0. In other words, this clip is totally transparent, meaning suddenly there was no blur. But you're seeing it go to totally opaque or the full blur image over those couple of frames. So suddenly, instead of it suddenly jumping to full blur, you see this smooth little transition as the blur layer becomes opaque, and suddenly we can see that. So we can still go in and hold our command key down, add a couple of control points, let go of the command key, and then adjust so that it's blurry, blurry, blurry. And then as that fades away, they all fade away together, including the blurriness. So I can look at this now and see.
Welcome to Rock the Vote at Belmont University.
And you know what? I like this Rock the Vote, but it really needs to be in the center of the screen. Put it right there. Okay.
Welcome to Rock the Vote at Belmont University, where Nashville colleges are uniting to celebrate democracy. With
We've got
performance
something
from
else we're
10
going to build in that shot, but I'm going to come over here and do the same thing here. Hold my command key down, add a couple of control points, and then just, since I can't use a traditional transition here, I'm just going to go ahead and automate that opacity directly on the little blur keyframe line. And now
Shelter Cove.
nice little fade in, and it all transitions together. All right, so checking back in here at this point, I believe, pull this down, you need to have completed for next time for homework 8 a screenshot of project 2 finished through section, oh, let's see, it says 7. I'm actually going to change this, finish through section 6. I'll put this as section 6, and then we will get through section 7, 8, and 9 next time, as well as going through how to upload this project finished in class. So let's see. So next time we will finish, I think we've actually got a lot of these things done. So we will go through some color correction and exporting media files and building our composite shot. And then the project will be due when? Anybody know? By midnight that night. So I usually have projects end that way so that you come into class, we wrap up anything that we need, but you do want to be caught up to that point, so that if you're caught up to that point, we usually are able to finish them in class doing those last couple of steps. And if you're done, you can just upload it, save, and you're good, and you kind of get a little bit of a mental break. So, but if you come in and you're behind in any way, then of course you've only got till midnight that night. So make sure that you get that done. All right, any questions before we roll out? It's 3:15. Have a great day, and we will see you on Thursday. Hopefully some of you in class. We'll just see how things look. There is still ice several inches thick on the roads all around here. So at this point, Belmont says that we're going to be back on campus. Worst case scenario, we're finishing up the project like this. Is that a bad thing for anybody? Is this actually working okay for everybody able to learn the software? Good. Okay. Well, sweet. One way or the other, we will see you on Thursday. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You.
I just can't believe that, like,